All right, welcome everyone. Hi, my name is Jack Tao. I'm a program manager at Microsoft on the devices and networking team. So I personally worked on mobile broadband experiences and some device experiences in Windows 8.
And I'm Lisa Ong. I'm a developer in Windows in the devices and networking team. And for Windows 8, I worked on a lot of the Windows runtime APIs that allow you to use devices from your Metro Style app.
All right, thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
So she'll be helping me with some of the demos and also giving a talk on how you can use devices later on. But for now, I'm going to start. So in today's session, we're going to cover how you can create more possibilities for your app by using devices. We'll talk about the variety of different devices that Windows supports, from digital cameras to GPS personal navigation devices to mobile broadband SMS devices and others. We'll show off a few demos. We've got a few machines here. We've got 3 demos to show today. So hopefully, there's a good chance you'll at least see one working demo, so that'll be good. And then we'll talk about no talks complete without showing some source code, of course. So Lisa will be here, and she'll show off how you can find a device in your Metro Style app and how you can use devices in your Metro Style app. So at the end of the session, you'll leave with examples of how you can make your app more exciting by integrating with different devices. So in this session, we are going to cover how your Metro Style app can seamlessly and easily integrate different types of devices. Windows supports a wide variety of different devices, and lots of devices carry interesting data and rich content. That way, by using devices in your application, in your Metro Style app, you can create more possibilities, create new user experiences by accessing device content. And Windows makes this easy to access device content by providing standard APIs for common functionality that get rid of the differences between different device models. So in this talk, writing an application, a Metro Style app, that accesses devices is not just for device manufacturers anymore. We're trying to encourage all application developers to use devices in their app, and that creates more possibilities. All right, well, let's get started by talking about how you can create more possibilities in your app with devices. So it's really easy for your Metro Style app to use a variety of different devices. Instead of me just talking about how your app can use a variety of devices, I'm going to start with a demo. All right, so we're going to demo this an application, a Metro Style app members of my team wrote. It's called Where is My Lost Tablet? And it works by using SMS, mobile broadband SMS, and location in a Metro Style app. So this is just an example of what you can do in Windows. This is not functionality that's built into Windows. It's just a demo app that we wrote. So let's get started here. We're going to switch over, Lisa.
Okay.
All right, thanks. So this is the application I wrote, actually. We kind of did it in Visual Studio, the same tools that you have access in the Windows Developer Preview. This is using just a simple template in Visual Studio, and we are using mobile broadband SMS and location. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this application to find my lost PC. I'll do this by sending an SMS message to my lost PC.
Let's switch to this one.
Sorry, what?
We had a slide for it, too.
No, it's all right. We're going to stick on this one. So
All right.
I think I want to show the demo first and then show that slide.
Okay.
All right?
Sorry.
So that's okay. So to explain this application again, we're going to send an SMS to my lost PC. And it's going to contain a few special keywords in that text message. So this is the same type of text message that you can send and receive with your cell phone. So before I keep talking anymore, let me do the demo. I'm going to pick the PC I want to find. So I'm going to find PC number 3. And I'm going to get location by SMS. It says the SMS was sent successfully. Now it's going to take a few moments for the SMS message, the text message, to be sent. The text message isn't being sent over the internet. It's being sent over the mobile operator network. And this means I can find my lost PC even if it's not connected to the internet. Now, Windows makes it really easy to send text messages in my application. We have a standard API that kind of gets rid of the differences between GSM and CDMA devices. So I don't have to be an expert in telecommunication standards to send and receive SMS messages. So it looks like this text message is going to take a few minutes for it to send. It's going to go back and forth. The way this application is running is, again, it's sending a text message to my lost PC. And my lost PC, when it gets that text message, it's going to respond with its location. And that's because the message I sent had some special keywords that it's listening for. Of course, my lost PC had to already have this application running for this demo. It looks like it's still taking a few more seconds, so we're going to give it a few more seconds to go. My lost application, if you were, for my Where's My PC demo, if you're writing this application on your own and you want to write a Metro-style app, we'd, of course, recommend you use a background task so that you don't have to have this application running on your lost PC for you to find it. That is a functionality we support in Windows, to be able to have a background task that runs when Windows PC receives a new SMS over mobile broadband. So we're going to let this thing maybe go for a few more seconds. All right. Of course, as I said, this functionality isn't built into Windows. This is just an example of how you can use SMS in your application in a creative way. So, all right, we're trying to see if this demo will work. So let's see if we can save this demo a bit. Now I can find my location, actually. There's two things. All right, there we go. This map has been updated with the location of my lost PC. The pushpin shows where the pushpin shows where my device was, and it actually looks like I left it in Redmond. So I have to probably wait till the end of this week before I can get it. Now I did not have to have a GPS chip in my lost PC for me to find it. The Windows has a built-in location provider that uses Wi-Fi access points to provide an approximate location. So this demo PC that I have in Redmond doesn't actually have a GPS chip in it. This demo was being run on Windows' built-in location provider. Of course, if a PC does have a GPS chip, I don't actually have to change this application at all. It will automatically get a more accurate location without any code changes. So I think I covered all the topics I was going to cover on this. Again, I am a PM, right? So when I wrote this application, I managed to do it in one night, really. A couple more nights of debugging, but most of the code was done in one night using the standard tools that you have available, and also the SMS and geolocation samples in the Windows SDK that's available to you. So you can do this, and hopefully you can integrate the background task so you don't have to have this application running. All right, let's switch back to the slides. So to explain, in case you were a little confused, I know there's a lot of stuff happening behind the back. There's not much visuals. So I had my laptop at build, and I have my lost tablet we don't know where it is. So what happened was, click. All right, so I sent a text message to my lost PC. In the message, I had some special keywords. In this case, it says, "Where's my tablet?" And my lost tablet, which had the application running, was listening for this special message. And when it gets the "Where's my tablet" message, it sends back its location. So this is just an example of how you can use devices in your Metro-style app to kind of create new possibilities. This is not functionality built into Windows. It's just a demo app that we put together. All right, so what did we just see in that demo? We saw how in Windows, your app can send and receive SMS using mobile broadband. This is the same type of SMS message you send and receive with your cell phone. So of course, that means you need to have an SMS or text messaging plan for your PC to send and receive messages. And through Windows, you can easily, your Metro-style app can easily integrate location as well. So Windows supports a variety of devices. You're probably all familiar with the digital cameras, with video cameras, with cell phones, but Windows supports a lot of other interesting devices as well, such as a GPS, a personal navigation device, fitness devices, health devices, and many other types of devices. Devices carry a lot of information, right? You're all familiar with the common types of information you expect, like music, photos, videos, documents. It's all common. If you were using a cell phone with Windows, you may expect to be able to get contact information, to get calendar information, to get task information, to get notes. And we just showed a demo how we were using mobile broadband adapters to send and receive text messages. Further down the list, if you have a GPS device, like a personal navigation device, that device may be tracking location and routes, and you may be able to get that information in Windows by connecting your GPS device to Windows. And of course, workout statistics, health data are also new devices that are coming out that keep track of that information. So that's also information that you could use in your application. And again, you don't have to be you don't have to be the manufacturer of those devices to write applications to use that kind of data. People do a lot of things with devices in Windows. I'm sure all of you have uploaded photos or videos from a digital camera to an online website. Probably some of you have also connected your cell phone to Windows to import contacts from a cell phone. And probably all of you, or hopefully all of you, are currently backing up your data to an external hard drive or to a USB-connected hard drive. And a little bit down the list, we have getting trip information from a personal navigation device. This could be something that a family does when they return from a long trip and they want to look at the places they traveled, and so they connect their GPS device to a PC. Tracking daily workout information from a fitness device, and sending, receiving SMS messages with mobile broadband, those are other scenarios that people do with Windows. So another possibility, another way your application can create new possibilities is using device content with cloud services. So we're going to go on to our demo number 2. We want to demo a photo uploader application. So members of our team wrote this simple application, this Metro-style application that uploads photos from a camera to SkyDrive, which is a Windows online website. Ooh, I went too far. So let's switch to the demo. All right, so first let's take a look at our SkyDrive website. You can see there's no photos in there, so it's empty. But fortunately, I've got this cell phone that has some photos I want to import online. Let's switch to our simple photo uploader application. So it says that I've got my phone connected here. This just happens to be a Windows 7 compatible phone that's connected. And let's pick the photos we want to upload from the phone. So Lisa's going to help drive this demo. This is the standard Windows 8 file picker. This is a UI that you can use in your Metro-style app. It's built into Windows. And it's the new or the Metro-style version of the file open dialog you've seen before. But this is being called by our simple photo uploader demo application that we wrote. So I'm going to select the photos I want to upload. So this is, you can see it's a touch-friendly UI. It shows large thumbnail previews of the photos I want to pick, so I know exactly which photo I want to upload into this application. I can select a few photos here. It does support multiple selections as well. You can see that both photos are showing up in the basket in the lower left. So this is all standard functionality built into Windows you can use in your Metro-style app. Let's click on Open so we open those photos inside the application. Now, one thing you see here is this application can only access those 2 photos I selected. So the users are confident that they are only giving this application access to the photos that they selected. All right, let's try uploading to SkyDrive. This is going to take a few moments. We're going over the internet to upload these photos. We're actually directly calling the SkyDrive public APIs in this application. But if you're writing this application on your own, you can use the share contract. We've talked about that before in previous talks. That's one way your application can participate. But instead of me just talking about the share contract, we finished this upload, so let's try it out. So I'm going to switch back to our SkyDrive website. Lisa's going to refresh the page. And as the page refreshes, here you go. We see the two photos we had just uploaded from our device. This is the applause line, by the way. All right, so even you can see Chris Jones couldn't get that to work in the keynote. All right, so what did we see in this demo? I'm going to switch back to our slides. So we showed how Windows can use so we showed how in your Metro-style application can easily access content from a camera. For this demo, sorry, Lisa, can I hold the device again?
Yep.
So for this demo, we showed using this cell phone. But the application, I don't have to change how I wrote this application for it to use a digital camera or a DSLR or a video camera. It can use the same APIs to talk to storage devices. So it doesn't work just with that phone. Another point I was talking about earlier was how we were directly calling the SkyDrive public APIs. And at this point, I'd like to recommend that if you are writing this application on your own, you should use a share contract and participate as a share source. What that means is you don't actually have to know the SkyDrive APIs for you to upload to it. If you write the photo uploader application as a share source, you can use any application, any Metro-style application that has participated in the share target contract. So that means your application can upload to SkyDrive using a SkyDrive app. It could upload to any other online web service without you actually having to know those APIs that are being called. So that's a really powerful way to kind of expand the flexibility of your application that talks to a device. And the last point I want to talk about here is your application can share content with devices through an online service. I just talked about that through the share contract. One other way you can use devices in Windows is creating a mashup style app that uses devices in new ways. So you may have heard of kind of mashup websites that combine data from different websites, like combining weather data from and also a Bing Maps website, right? So you can use this concept with devices as well. You can imagine creating an application, a Metro-style app, that uses not just one device, doesn't just use a camera, it uses multiple devices, and that creates even more possibilities for your Metro-style app. So let's show our last demo of the day. So far, we've been 2 for 2. So before I move on too much further, this application was really inspired by a colleague of ours who took a 10,000-mile road trip with some friends from London to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. So you can see their team name was Baatar Hero, and they drove this tiny little car 10,000 miles from London to Mongolia. And during this trip, they were taking lots of pictures, they were blogging online, taking lots of videos, and it would have been nice if they had an easy way they can share their trip as they were traveling. So we wrote this simple application to demonstrate how you can write a Metro-style app that combines information from a GPS navigation device. So let's switch over to our demo machine. All right. So this, thank you, Lisa. So this is just a common off-the-shelf GPS device. It happens to be compatible with Windows 7. This application here is kind of pulling, it's going to show the information, the GPS routes that were stored on this GPS device. This device, we've loaded it, we put the kind of the routes that our friend, the Baatar Hero team, the routes that they took on their trip across Europe. So let's try to load that. So first, we're going to pick the device we want to use. In this case, this is this Garmin device. So we're going to select that device. Now, you can't see the progress happening right now, but this application is actually transferring the data from the GPS device into this application. It's going to parse that GPS data, all the latitude and longitude coordinates. And it looks like it's finished. So let's try selecting a route. All right, thanks, Lisa. So you can see here's the route that they actually took from London all the way to Mongolia. It's being shown in the Bing Maps UI here. This is a standard Bing Maps kind of UI control. You can expect to be able to zoom in, zoom out. You can pan around. We're not going to show that today, but it's completely supported. You can even change the view. If you don't want the satellite view, you can show the actual map view with the different street names. It's just a kind of a standard control that they use. And of course, this application doesn't only work with the GPS device that we showed today, right? This is not the only device it would work with. This is kind of this would work with any other GPS device that supports the standard, I think the GPX format, the XML format for storing your location routes. So before I get further, this application was built using the split application template in Visual Studio. So the split application template you all have access to. And the split application template is great for kind of showing a list of different items on the left column. And on the right column, it shows kind of a different view of that data. So let's try selecting a different route. All right, great. Looks like this is just a first leg of their trip from London. So you can see their little road trip in London. It doesn't look very straight, so I'm guessing they got lost somewhere in that trip. But I'm sure it was a fantastic trip for them. All right, great. So that's the end of our demo. So we went 3 for 3. Applause, maybe. Thank you, Lisa. You're perfect. All right, so let's switch back to our slides. So what did you guys just see? We saw how your app can combine data from devices and web services to create a mashup. We only showed using the GPS device in this demo, but you can imagine if you were writing this application for somebody like Team Batar Hero, you'd want to create overlays with the photos that they took or with videos that they took, or be able to add comments from their trip in that application. So we didn't do that today, but that's something you can do on your own when you decide to create this application. So mashup apps can really provide rich and exciting ways to use content from a variety of devices. All right, using devices in your app. So what did we talk about? To summarize all these demos that we showed, you can take your Metro-style app and you can make it better by using the devices that Windows supports. Windows, we showed demos with a GPS device, with mobile broadband SMS, with the location platform built into Windows. We showed also a digital camera. There's just a variety of devices that you can use in your Metro-style app. And when you add it all together, you really create more possibilities and a lot more new scenarios in your application, and that can make it more compelling for end users. So obviously, we want to encourage you to create interesting apps. We showed a few today. They were just demos, really, to get you guys thinking. So we're really excited to see kind of what ideas you guys can come up with. So I've talked for a while, but I'm sure you guys are really excited to create these applications on your own. So that's why we have Lisa here, who's I'm going to hand over the reins to Lisa, and she'll talk about, here's the clicker.
Thank you.
She'll talk about how you can use devices, and you can find and use devices, and she'll show the code for how to do it. So thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Jack. Can everybody hear me? Great. So I'm here to wake you up because Jack is really calm and zen, and I'm more excitable. And this is actually my first talk, so if I stumble or talk too fast, just tell me to slow down. I'm a developer in Windows in the Devices and Networking team, and this is my 8th year at Microsoft. Probably I don't look the part, but it's my 8th year. And this is my first time at Build, and everything's awesome. So let's get started. So the first thing you would want to do whenever you want to build one of those apps that we show you is to find a device from your app. And then the next thing you want to do is to use that device that you found. So starting with finding a device, a good way to think about this is think of a world where there are externally connected devices and built-in devices. So externally connected devices are things that you plug into your PC or your tablet to do stuff with, like a camera or your phone or your USB thumb drive. Those are easily findable using windows.devices.enumeration. This is the API you can use to find any device. And it not only lets you find devices, it lets you query to find the devices. So you can construct queries by device properties, and you can basically find any device you want in the system. And besides finding devices, you can also get properties of the device, like the icon, the name, and so on. And because these can be connected and disconnected, you probably want to know whenever a user plugs in a device or disconnects the device, so you can provide a nice experience in your app. So windows.devices.enumeration comes with events that you can listen to get notified. And it's all included in this one namespace. So I talked about externally connected devices that you plug into your PC. What about those built-in devices? And most of you, or all of you, besides Microsofties, have the tablets, and you've been playing around with it. If you tried the Labyrinth game where you had the ball tilting and you tilt your tablet, that's using a built-in device. It's actually a sensor. And it's walked away from the speaker. It's a inclinometer, and maybe it does probably a tilt sensor. So those are built-in devices, and the mobile broadband adapter that we use to send and receive SMS to find Jack's lost PC is also using a built-in device. And we've got other built-in devices like the proximity sensor, where you can tap two PCs together, or you can tap a card to find information. So to get a built-in device, it's even easier. You basically call one API, one function, and that gives you a device immediately, and you can start using it. So how do I find devices using windows.devices.enumeration? This is your first code sample. It's in JavaScript, but if you're a C# developer, a C++ developer, just be happy that there will be C++, C# equivalents of these. So to find a device, first I start off with a query. And the query basically contains properties of the devices that I want to find. And most of the time, you don't have to manually write the query. It's actually a string using advanced query syntax. You can use one of the built-in queries. So we're trying to find portable storage devices. And these are basically the cameras, the phones, the thumb drives that you connect to your PC. So they store stuff portably. So I take this query, and I pass that into this really important method that I want you to remember. It's find all async. Basically, that method, find all async, takes the query and gives you an array of devices found. It's an asynchronous query, so we're going to use the promises syntax, which allows us to pass in a completed function. Right now, we chose to use an anonymous function because it's simpler. So in that function, the result is actually an array of device information. And basically, device information like the name that you can print out. So in this example, we took the name of the first device. We could have looped through the array and get every single device, but for simplicity, I used the first device. And you can get the thumbnail of the device. And the thumbnail is basically the device's icon. So the cool thing about this is not in a usual ICO format. So if you've played around with icons before and you had to extract the icon and do all sorts of things before you can display it, this is ready to display in PNG format. So here, I take the icon and I pass it straight to the image tag of my HTML, just like that. So using this way, you can actually create device selectors. Basically, you can show an array of devices, and the user can see, oh, I want to pick this device, and this is my camera, and so on. So you can do a lot of cool things with it. And the last thing I want to show you today is how do you get from a device identifier into an actual object that you can start calling the APIs to use the device. So here, I actually created a storage device object using the ID of the first device. So .id, I passed that into a fromID method. And you don't have to worry about the exact syntax here. We have samples for that. Just remember that you can actually get an object that you can start using. So I'm going to refer back to this storage device object in red. Hopefully, most of you can see it when I show you how to use it. So I've talked about how do you find devices, multiple connected devices. What about built-in devices? Well, built-in devices, it's even more fun because you don't have to worry about how to go find built-in devices. They are right there for you. You just find it with one line of code, and you get the device object to start using it. So in our demo, when we wanted to send an SMS to our lost PC, we just got the default SMS device. And this just gives us an object. We can start saying send message async. And I'll show you that code later. Similarly, if I want to build a racing game, well, I just get the default sensor, the default inclinometer, so I can start playing around with that in my app. I don't have to worry about how is it connected, USB or not. I just get the object, and I start using it. And you can do the same things for other device objects that are not under Windows.devices. So if you've been browsing the namespace and trying to figure out, oh, what's supported, the get default pattern is basically all across the Windows WinRuntime APIs. So we've basically made this really simple and predictable for you for those built-in devices. So in this example, I have the proximity device that allows me to start discovering nearby PCs and send information to it. So this is how easy it is to get a built-in device. Now, I've covered how you can find devices using the two ways. How do we start using the device and do all kinds of interesting things with it? So there are three ways I'm going to cover today. There are more than three ways, but we don't really have time to cover all of them. And we will point you to talks that cover them in more detail. The three ways I want to cover today are how do you find files on the device and start accessing them and using them. So that is the photo uploading demo that we showed earlier. Secondly, I'm going to show you how you can find a lost PC or how you can send and receive SMS, rather, using mobile broadband, the APIs for that. And third, we have some functionality on certain devices that are considered advanced. They're not standardized, as in they're not photos or music. There are files in most devices. So for that, we actually have a more advanced set of APIs that you can actually access advanced functionality that are unique to a certain type of device. So an example here I'm going to show you is how do you get contacts off a phone. So first things first, how do I find how do I find files on the device and how do I start using them? Well, the good news is you can actually use the file APIs to get files on the device and start using them. So here's an example of what we did to find picture files on the device. So I know in our demo we showed you the file picker. I didn't show you that example because that one is so simple that you don't even use the device object. The user would actually navigate to your device object, and you can just use it. So there's nothing device-specific there. So I wanted to show you something that involves a device object that you found. So the storage device object here is basically the same object that I got earlier using Windows.devices.enumeration from the ID. So to find files on a device, we basically do a search. And that's actually pretty amazing if you think about it. The files are on the device, and I'm actually searching on them. So here, we decided that we want to find pictures, and we used a really neat form of query, which is by file extension. Pretty intuitive. So we pass the file extensions for the file types we want to use into query options. And you could do all sorts of other types of query options. If you go to the File APIs talk, they have a whole range of options you can do. You can order by name, you can order by size, and really amazing. So here I'm just interested in the JPEG files and the PNG files. So I take that options and I created a file query on my device. So the second line, I just pass the options to the storage devices, create file query with options method. And get files async basically runs the query asynchronously. And you see my completion function that I'm missing a close brace, sorry about that, basically has a list of picture files found. It's an array, so I could loop through the array and do all sorts of things with it. I could create, a gallery of the pictures. I can index them. I can create a nice list and show the user, hey, I found all these files on your device. Or I could upload them to SkyDrive. And here, we basically took the element of each array, and then we passed it directly to the SkyDrive APIs. We didn't have to open the file. The SkyDrive APIs took care of it for us. And so let me pause a little bit while this sinks in. OK, so remember Jack talked about the share contract? So the share contract allows you to do that without even calling the SkyDrive APIs if you share to a SkyDrive app that supports sharing. So there's a lot of use of the word sharing here. But basically, the idea is it's even easier if you use the share contract because you could support many different online services or other types of services that may not even be online. You just pass the files you found to the second app. So back to our example, with a few lines of code, we managed to find files on the device. They're not on anywhere else, on the device, and put them on SkyDrive. So now I'm going to show you how Jack found his PC in Redmond. So to send an SMS, it's pretty simple, too. You use SMS text message. This is basically an object representing an SMS text message. And then you set the properties that you probably can infer by the name. You set the recipient and then the body. And we just pass that send the message into the SMS device's send message async method. And this SMS device, if you remember, was the one we got from getDefault. So this would be our fourth line of code or fifth line of code after we got the default SMS device. To get an SMS message, we basically just subscribe to an event that notifies us whenever a new message has arrived. And this event is on SMS message received. And that event basically contains the text message as a property of the event parameters. So it contains the text message. And you can process the message, parse it, find who sent this message to you, and reply. In our case, we reply with our current location using the same code that I showed you earlier to send an SMS. Now, if your app is not running when you're trying to listen for SMS, then this code probably is not for you. You would be basically creating a background task and listening to an SMS event. And we can show you, probably after this talk, how to do that. It's also covered in samples, so don't worry if you didn't get it first. And finally, if you're planning to use SMS in your app, just be aware of spamming users and all the SMS rules and regulations stuff. Jack maybe said this because he wanted me to give the disclaimer stuff. OK, so disclaimer. Anyway, I'm just too excited about the APIs. So now that we've covered how to get files and how to send and receive SMS, how do we access advanced functionality on devices? So the example that I gave was context on the phone. So a phone, when you plug a phone to Windows, you typically could get access to the music, the videos, and the pictures on the phone. And for that, you could use the file APIs that I showed you earlier. But there are certain types of data that are not traditionally stored as files, or it could be a choice made by the phone's manufacturer to store contacts in a database somewhere. And for them to create represent them as files is not very efficient. Or things like your calendar, your tasks, or even status about the phone, like how many missed calls you got, or how much is your battery life. Those things are available if the phone supports it. So we use the portable devices APIs to access advanced functionality on devices. Now here, I have an example of how you can get contacts from a phone. And you will probably now familiar with Find All Async, the API that allows you to find all devices. We are using this here, and we're using a different query to find the different type of device. We're going to find devices that support contacts. And don't worry too much about what contact service means. If you need to use contacts on the phone, you can come talk to us, and we can explain to you what contact service means. It basically is a storage for contacts, and it contains ways to get access to the contacts. So here, we just basically found the first device that supports contacts. We get the device object. We get the first contact service for the first instance of the storage for contacts. And then we basically found all the contacts that are matching vCard2 format. So this API is slightly different from the file APIs. Every device is different. So this is mostly for device manufacturers who want to create unique apps for their unique functionality. So before I hand this over to Jack, who's looking comfortable, I'm going to give you one last tip. So I've been creating apps and trying to get them to work and sometimes succeeding. When I fail the first time, it's always because I forgot, not because of code, but because I forgot to declare the capabilities to access that functionality. So app manifest capabilities are important, and I'm going to stress it here because you guys are missing the talk right now. It's happening right now. So basically, that talk tells you what the different types of capabilities you need to declare and what they mean, and what types of functionality would give your app access to. So for example, if you want to send and receive SMS, there is a capability for that. That is the SMS capability. Or if you want to get files or send files to a storage device, or a camera, or phone, or thumb drive, there is a capability for that. That is the removable storage capability. So don't worry if you forget what those are. There is a list and documentation, and that talk is also available in 24 hours for you. And we will have the name of the talk at the end. So that's it from me. I'm going to let Jack come back and take over. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Lisa. I think she did a great job her first time.
Yeah, I didn't trip. So. Thank you.
All right, so I'm here to give a brief recap of kind of what we showed this hour. We showed how your Metro-style app can seamlessly integrate device access. Windows supports a wide variety of different devices and a variety of things you can do with devices. Windows really makes it easy for you to access devices in your Metro-style app. We provide standard APIs for common functionality. And really, we're kind of, in this talk, we're really excited about kind of the possibilities we're going to see in the applications about what you can do with devices. So as I just talked about, Windows has a broad ecosystem of various different types of devices that you can use. The devices carry lots of interesting data and content. We showed a GPS device. We showed cameras. There's also health devices and fitness devices that can track how many miles you run. We didn't demo today, but there's just a lot of devices that you can use from your Metro-style app. And by using those different devices, you can create more possibilities and new scenarios in your app. Windows really makes this easy by providing APIs that get rid of the differences between different device models. So you don't have to be an expert in a certain device model, and you can support a wide variety of devices using the same code for common functionality. All right, so what did we talk about? We talked about how you can create Metro-style applications. We've covered in the past few days the Windows runtime, how that's kind of a new platform we have for writing applications in JavaScript and HTML and CSS. Of course, we will support the C# applications and C++ applications. Lisa didn't show code examples of that today, but that doesn't mean you can't write a C++ application or you can't write a C# application. We just didn't show those demos, but the Windows runtime, it's assumed that that works. So by taking your Metro-style app, you can use devices in that app. And that really, and by devices, I mean obviously all the devices that Windows supports. We talked about cameras and GPS devices and so on and so on. And by adding that equation up, what do you get? You really get more possibilities in your application. We're really kind of excited. We've been just writing a few sample apps to kind of demo today. Those apps aren't distributed with Windows. They were just demos. But we're really excited for you guys to kind of go and hopefully inspire you to create interesting applications. Lisa showed some great code examples of how you can find devices and how you can use devices in your talk. Or in our talk, you can use devices in your app. All right, so there's a few things that we didn't have time to cover today. We have a talk on how to declare your app's capabilities. Lisa referred to that. So if you're using certain device functionality, you'll want to declare that capability, like SMS or a storage-based device. And that's really to help users feel confident in what the application is using. So they'll know when the application is using text messages, so they won't be surprised if an application is using certain functionality. Sharing is a really interesting functionality in Windows. It's new. And it allows you, in the Share talk, your app powers the Windows 8 share experience. They cover how you can write an application that acts as a share source that sends files to another application, or you can write an application as a share target, which receives files from different applications. The photo uploader application we demoed today was an example of an application that could fit as a share source, right? So be sure to check out that talk in that session for more details. File type associations and autoplay, those are kind of concepts that have been around in Windows for a while. We didn't really have a chance to go into details about that today. All the devices we showed were already connected to the PC when we started the demo. But with autoplay and different file type associations, that's one way, and those are types of ways where you can let users know that they can use your application for, let's say, opening a type of a file, or they can use your application with certain types of devices. So we really encourage you to kind of go to that session or view that session to get more details on how you can promote your application and let users know what devices they can use your application with. Using locations and sensors in your app is another session. We kind of covered a bit about, or we actually had a demo where we showed using the location APIs to kind of get your computer's location. And Lisa also talked about inclinometers and how to get the default device. So we kind of touched on the very top surface of that talk. But for a lot more information on that, please view the Using Location and Sensors session. Using files, accessing, searching, and acting on files. That goes into a lot of detail on the nuts and bolts of how to use the file access APIs. And so that could be something if you're looking into more advanced functionality than what's provided in the standard Windows file picker that we show, that green screen where we pick the photos. So if you wanted more functionality, Lisa showed a few code examples, but that's all covered in detail in the Using Files, Accessing, Searching, and Acting on Files session. And for the last session, in the hardware track, building Metro-style apps that connect to specialized devices, that talk is really focused on kind of hardware manufacturers. If you're building a specialized device and you have special APIs, that talk will cover kind of how you want to develop your application, how you want to develop your device. All right, we have some further documentation available on all the kind of the namespaces and the APIs that we talked about today. Those are available on the MSDN website. So we have links here. So if you view this talk online, you'll be able to see those links and get to the MSDN website where it has the full details on all the different APIs that are supported in Windows. All right. Thank you for your time, really. It's really been a pleasure for me to kind of talk today and be able to explain about all the different possibilities that are available by using devices in your Metro style app. So for more questions and if you had feedback on the product, on the Windows product that we showed today, we encourage you to go to the forums.dev.windows.com website. We'll have a special, forum post just for this session. And we'd really want to kind of improve the way we give this talk in the future. So I'd like to, if you have a chance, go online to the session feedback website that's shown here and really kind of provide your comment on how we gave this session. So we have a few minutes left over. So if you do have any questions, Lisa and I will be available in the front. And you can come up to us individually, and we'll try to answer as many questions as you can. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you.